I think that's what Nigerians are really about. When you say the press should also join the government on this particular one, everyone is trying not to jeopardize this process. But again, for someone who's been in the study of how some of these people operate, we're talking about a cell system, a terror cell system. One would have thought that the chain of command comes from just a structure that goes out to different cells. So is it possible that some of these cells have actually broken away from the main source?
Okay. I made mention of something earlier on that one, they are not as organized as we thought they were. That is one. Two, there are many faces of Shekau. Once one Shekau is killed, another picture of his lookalike is out. And the chain of command, I wouldn't want to put my trust in that at the moment, that there's only one chain of command. That is one. Two, when information comes out somewhere, it gets diluted before it gets to the public. I know you guys will have to do a lot of work putting things together before you can come out with something that is credible. You will hear from here, hear from here. And I think on this particular occasion, we shouldn't expect that Boko Haram have one chain of command. If you look at their formation, some of them have religious tendency, extremist tendency, and some of them have political tendencies. Now, putting all this together now, I think one of the things we need to do is we need to put up a robust analyst group, which I think the federal government is not doing at the moment. If a piece of paper comes out of Boko Haram saying this and that, a lot of people need to take every word. They need to bring in experts to look at every word and translate it to what this might mean or what this might possibly not mean. Do you understand? Before you come out and make announcement to the public, I want to appreciate the level of calmness we're having from the federal government. It's not like before one wing of the government is saying this or another is saying this now. It looks as if now the Chief of Defense Staff has been able to consolidate the type of information they relate out so that they're not going to look irresponsible. But at the same time, on the part of the press and on the part of the people, I want to assure you there is need for a lot of waiting. There is need for a lot of patience in order to get this done.
When you say that there are different groups, sometimes this one shows certain tendency, another shows another tendency. Does that suggest that there isn't anything that unites them?
Well, violence.
So in terms of, for instance, if when was it that they were supposed to have one election that there was no violence at the time?
Okay, what I notice is that if you study what is happening in the country, anytime the president makes a comment or a major decision, we have certain type of attacks. When the president wants to declare for president, that he wants to run for another term, if you study the type of attack we have, when there is a military operation against Boko Haram somewhere, within 48 to 72 hours, we have certain type of attacks. And even what is happening in Syria, Turkey, and Iraq, whenever there is any major success against the terrorist organization. So I can say that the word jihad or the phrase jihad is a uniting force for them, but that they are so coordinated. We've allowed the cell. You know, cell does split, just the way it works. After some time, they have access to weapon. There is personal issue between them. They have factional group. We have the Sunnis. We have the Shiites who doesn't see each other eye to eye, and we have all those factions too. While we have some people that think that the girls should be kidnapped, some people believe that this is causing them too much collateral damage, and it's time to let them go and concentrate on blowing things off. Some of them may be arguing that, well, it is the government and government infrastructure that we should be attacking, not the people. One thing I do know is that when the going get tough, the tough get going. If going, it's going to get to a time that the people themselves are going to rise up against Boko Haram or rise up against the government, whichever way. When the fuel subsidy situation came out about 2 years ago, people said enough is enough, and they were able to bring the government to their knees.
And at that time, the violence attack ceased too.
Yeah, it is. That is the that is the reason why I'm advocating that there is need for unification on the part of the people. It's not just talking. It's not just expecting anybody to rise up and meet up to what they have said. What Boko Haram said yesterday may not necessarily happen today. They have issues that are mitigating against them too.
Sorry to cut you there, but I'm a little bit worried because some Nigerians, even when you go to our Twitter feeds, have been asking the question. Now, the only party that has categorically said it has declared a ceasefire is Nigeria. We haven't actually seen this style of Boko Haram going on a video to say, we are Boko Haram, or whoever is going to represent Shekau and say, we have actually declared a ceasefire, knowing full well that there might be some others who are out there who don't get to hear or see anything until they get to see that same video to tell them the way to go.
Now, one, it will be fatal for Nigerians to believe on what anybody come out to say on video. The fact that somebody
it's not to Nigeria. If Boko Haram comes up to say, to corroborate what Nigerian government, the government has said, that goes a long way.
Okay, if we want to look at the trend of information which I have in front of me, we have Malam Danladi Amadu, who has said something. So what I did as an expert is to investigate what he has said and try to corroborate it with the event that is unfolding.
So what did you find?
On my own. What I find is that I realize that there is corroboration between what Malam Danladi Amadu, the Secretary General of Boko Haram, is saying with what is happening in Chad Republic at the moment, and I think I will be able to work with that to monitor the situation for now. Now, coming back to the part of the of the federal government, I think there needs to be a kind of think tank table on who are going to analyze it. There are people in the military, there are people in the police, there are people out there who are able to work on the piece of information coming up with this to plan a robust response to it. We should be planning how to clean this up now after the girl. The fact that the girls, if the girls are released today, does not mean that that is the end of Boko Haram terrorism threat to lives and properties in Nigeria. Don't let us get that wrong. And the Chibok girls brought everything into light and brought the world to their knees to start begging. But the number of people that have been kidnapped by Boko Haram is well over 500. Even in the barrack, in the Boma barrack at the time, they went in there to kidnap 52 wives and children of the military personnel who were out operating. Nothing has been said about that. So, yes, the Chibok girls is in bulk. We are all praying as a parent at Nigeria that they should come back. But their coming back does not mean the end of the problem.
Yeah, but
don't let us hook it to, okay, once Chibok girls is back, the problem is...
Isn't it going to connect with what you said about taking the Secretary General's word for it? Because if he says, yes, we will do this, and it doesn't happen, don't you think that that will raise a lot more questions about the authenticity
and the credibility
of the entire ceasefire?
Okay, you've just said something that the ceasefire is 50-50, and currently it is the Nigerian army that the military that have come out to say they are having ceasefire. I look at it so, and I believe that, well, something is happening on their part. The ability of Boko Haram to be able to put their act together and put their house together and come up with something robust is something that we need to look at on the other. They need help doing that. Are they free? They are not free. The federal government is free to go anywhere, fly planes, collaborate with Cameroonian government. Another thing I want us to look at now at the moment is that Boko Haram is no longer the problem. Terrorism in Nigeria is no longer the problem of Nigerian alone. It hit Cameroonian government at the heart of their government when their deputy vice president family was kidnapped. So while President Jonathan and his wife are in the safety of Aso Rock being protected, There are some presidents in our neighboring country that can't sleep with their two eyes closed.
But you know, while they also said this, they declared ceasefire, or were negotiating this agreement, they on their own said they were going to wipe out the group, Boko Haram.
Who said
So
that?
contracting Cameroon.
Well,
Contracting scenarios there.
they are talking from their own perspective. How big is Cameroon and what level? Any country where the wife of the deputy prime minister is kidnapped, do you expect the chief of defense staff to say, no, we're going to leave them alone? In order for him to keep his job, he's going to come out. Don't forget, in Nigeria, an inspector general of police came out to declare that the days of Boko Haram were numbered. Anybody can say anything in order to protect their job.